Khurram, thank you so very much for joining me today. Really appreciate you taking your time and doing this particular session because look, you are the OG in the space of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, even artificial intelligence. Now, you worked in Bitcoin when the price of Bitcoin was just $1. You are a visionary leader in the Bitcoin blockchain and AI space, as well as emerging tech space. Now, in the Middle East, you are known as the Arab crypto whale. So it is an absolute honor to have you on the podcast. Really excited to talk to you. And I'm pretty much sure, Karam, most of my listeners would love what you have to say, and they will definitely learn something for you as well. So thank you so very much, firstly, for doing this session. Really appreciate it.
It's an honor, buddy. It's an honor. And, we just realized that we've been connected for 7, 8 years. And
Yeah.
you know that we talked in 2016, 17 around Bitcoin, where when everyone was like, what? What is Bitcoin?
And the narratives have changed drastically since then as well, isn't it?
Completely. And the most interesting thing is that the narrative has changed literally a month ago. So, I was talking to another Bitcoin holder, and we're sitting on ground zero now. I
Yeah.
think the last 14, 15 years have just been more of R&D, but the real party or the real game is starting now, and it's
Yeah.
going to keep on happening. Or, like Michael Saylor said, it's a gold rush till 2034, when 99% of the Bitcoin will be mined by 2034. So it just started in January 2024. We're 1 year in to the gold rush. We got another six, another 10 years
Yeah.
of this gold rush ahead of us.
And this is exactly what I tell, to someone who's newly getting into Bitcoin. We are still in the earlier stages. And this is the whole idea about the whole demand and supply and how Bitcoin merges with Austrian economics, isn't it? Now,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Karam, before we start, I just wanted to check, how's your day been so far? And is there anything interesting planned this entire week? And is there anything specific that you're looking forward for, particularly, let's say, in the world of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, or even artificial intelligence for that matter?
I'm now concentrating on what is the future. I mean, with I've been discussing that Bitcoin started as money, and that's how what inspired me when M-Pesa had launched in Kenya with 2011. It had 17 million people, and it was bigger than all the banks in the country combined. So imagine an app which just launches, which literally takes over the financial sector of the country. Even though my family owns a bank, but the whole banking system is very inefficient. And I'm echoing the words of our friend Eric Trump, right?
Yeah.
So, 2011, I saw that Bitcoin can get divisible by 100 million. And this is a call to action to you, buddy, and to all other podcasters, that we need to explain to people that Bitcoin, even though it's $100,000, you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin for less than $1, right, or
Yeah.
less than a penny. So that's a sort of a mindset that people have, that $1 equals 100 cents. So people think, oh, one Bitcoin equals 10, 10 small Bitcoins. So one a small Bitcoin is still $10,000, but that's not the case, right? It's
Yeah.
divisible by 100 million. And when it was divisible by 100 million, I thought to myself, I was like, wow, we can literally have one Bitcoin in every country, which can literally power the entire financial sector of that country, because you have 100 million Satoshis basically being able to rotate around the country without having a bank or a third party interest. I was like, wow, this is so inspiring. And then I started to mine it, and then the journey started. But then what happened was that Bitcoin became a more of an inflationary hedge. When it
Yeah.
became a more of an inflationary hedge, that's when, cryptocurrency exchanges, all of them started, which sort of centralized the industry, and took it away from decentralization, right?
True.
Which was, but it helped the industry grow. People like CZ and others were created in terms of other blockchains came into being, like Vitalik, And the interesting part is both CZ, Vitalik, and myself are all Canadians. So
Yeah.
Canada has played a very interesting role in grooming crypto and blockchain enthusiasts and Bitcoin enthusiasts. Then it became a store of value. So in around last time when we met in 2016, 17, I coined a word that Bitcoin is digital gold, right?
Mhm.
And it became a store of value.
Yeah.
After that, I think the future is about economic security using the Bitcoin as a security layer. So
Yeah.
you see countries like El Salvador. I was sitting with Max Kaiser the other day, and we were just discussing what's happening in El Salvador. It just completely inspired me at a whole nother level because that's what really Bitcoin is for, right? It is transforming this country, helping a country get away from other financial problems and also having ability to remit money into the country is considered a legal tender. So I
Yeah.
think like with Donald Trump coming in and explain and planning to buy like over 1 million Bitcoin or possibly even 6, 7 million Bitcoin, so you're gonna see uh, starting a FOMO among countries who are going to be using Bitcoin as one of their treasury assets. So the future, I think, is around Bitcoin, real world assets, AI, and
Yeah.
how all these three things converge.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see, how tokenization merges with artificial intelligence, and can Bitcoin offer that underlying security feature? Now, you mentioned about Canada. I think one of the most influential person along with you is also Don Tapscott.
100%. And Don and them have been instrumental in supporting not only the Bitcoin community, but the overall blockchain community. And there's a sort of a two camps, right? There's Bitcoin maxis and
Yeah.
Bitcoin and blockchain industry. So I'm more of a person who came from a Bitcoin maximalist background, but I embrace other blockchain, and I really want to see blockchain use cases, other blockchain use cases other than only Bitcoin, right? And I
True.
think the technology is robust enough and it's proven over the last 14, 15 years that we can develop everything from supply chain. I was seeing a project which just got implemented in DIFC courts around blockchain notarization. So there's
Yes.
a lot of use cases I think are going to come forward, which are, and especially with the advent and the explosion of AI. I mean, I was talking at the Bitcoin MENA conference, and I had read something where two AI negotiated with each other and paid each other with Bitcoin. So you got this fully autonomous industry being created, which is going to get powered by crypto or Bitcoin.
Absolutely. And regarding AI, I do have a very specific question, and I'm curious to check what your answer to that is. Now, regarding the Bitcoin Mena event that you attended, what was the experience having the first Bitcoin Mena event in the UAE? What are the good, bad, and the ugly side of the event?
It's the great good part of the event is that we're really thankful to David Bailey and
Yeah.
BTC Inc. team and the Bitcoin Magazine team to really host this event, the second event after Nashville, or the biggest Bitcoin conference in Abu Dhabi, which is considered the capital of capital, with people like Steve Witkoff, who just got appointed by Donald Trump as a special envoy to the Middle East, Paul Manafort, who's considered like a kingmaker in the US political scene, and people like Eric Trump, CZ, Justin Sun, Max Kaiser, like so many, Saifuddin, so
Yeah.
many old friends and colleagues and industry veterans were there, and the vibe was very very nice and exciting, and well, I really believe that Bitcoin has grown up. It put tears in my eyes when I saw Bitcoin hit $100,000, because going from starting a journey from $1 to $100,000, and it's not only about pricing, it's about how how it's affecting everybody in the world, right?
Yeah.
So that was really a good part about it. That the industry is coming together. The vibe was absolutely amazing. Uh, the 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 bad part of it, I would say, is that we are still in the nascent stage, right? Like
True.
Michael was saying, this is year one. I mean,
Yeah.
even David was saying, and Mike, the other Mike was saying that we are. This is basically day zero, right? We are in day or year zero of this Bitcoin revolution that's about to unfold in front of our eyes. So I think a lot of skeptics are still there. A lot of people still don't understand it, want to understand it. And I think this is a big function of yourself and other media to really help Bitcoin and help the Bitcoin community really get the word out that you can come in and be part of this community for less than a penny. What is the world waiting for, right? And that's something that we need to work as a community, and we are no longer a closed, small community. We are a massive community and a force to reckon with on a global level. And the ugly part of it is we still need we still need government support. We need government cover. We need government to help the Bitcoin community, and we need government to also be part of the community. So I would encourage not only the U.S. lawmakers, but the Canadian lawmakers, and the UAE lawmakers and the Saudi lawmakers, and all around the world lawmakers. I mean, you have the most powerful man in the world, Donald Trump, president elect, who is talking about Bitcoin. His son is coming and speaking at Bitcoin conferences. I think it's time for all the lawmakers around the world to look at this and embrace it and be part of this community moving forward, and also put regulations and taxation and whatever they feel within their financial ecosystem in those countries to empower not only themselves as the government, but also empower the people within the country that work
Very
there.
rightly said, yeah. And I think once the government gives regulatory clarity, it definitely helps with adoption and innovation, particularly in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space, isn't it?
100%, and that is what has transformed my mindset. Over the last few years, we sort of um, what do you call it, waded away from Bitcoin and waded away from crypto. We've seen a big downfall in so many other cryptos, including Bitcoin. And we've been looking at how on the AI front. But now I think with regulatory clarity coming in the United States, I think this is an opportunity of a lifetime. We've gone through lots of problems, mistakes
Yeah.
over the past whatever amount of years. But I think moving forward, we should all come together and embrace this future, a digital future, which is going to be empowered by Bitcoin, going to be empowered by AI, going to be empowered by blockchain.
Very true. And before going live, before recording this session, Karam, we were also talking about the different narratives in the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blockchain space. And one of the narratives that is building right now is that of tokenization. Now, while I was researching to ask you some questions, I did actually find one of your videos going back to 2019, where you're talking about Islamic finance and security token offering. And that security token offering and tokenization is now turning into fruition because of BlackRock, isn't it?
100%. And it is also because finance in the Muslim world operate differently. You need to be Sharia compliant, and I've been a big proponent globally of trying to explain to Muslim scholars around the world in so many different countries to basically give fatwas and give comments that Bitcoin is Sharia compliant, right? Because a lot of money in the Muslim world only invests in Sharia compliant products and Sharia compliant finance. And I'm so happy to report to you, my friend, that a lot of scholars around the world think Bitcoin is Sharia compliant today, and it's a whole nother world. So even a person who's thinking that is Bitcoin Sharia compliant today, it is, and a lot of scholars believe it is. So I think from a tokenization front, it is BlackRock is saying it's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. I was reading somewhere that it's like, you know, 12 or 15 trillion dollar opportunity of tokenizing uh, everything, And one of the things that I really believe that we need to look at is the crossroads of AI, real estate, and tokenization. Because, when we were younger or when our parents were younger, we used to talk about, hey, when we grow up, we should buy a house, buy a property, then once you make a little bit more money, you should buy another investment property. But the youth today is very disconnected from that aspect because they're thinking, okay, am I going to work my whole life to buy a small apartment? I mean, what's my life worth? It's just this small apartment. So this,
Yeah,
I feel, is going to become more of a collective effort. I was reading a situation that about 10 years ago, it used to take about 600 bitcoins to buy a
yeah,
house. Then it took about 60 bitcoins to buy a house, average house, about three, $400,000. And now it
yeah.
takes 6 bitcoins to buy a house. And it's going to
True.
get lesser and lesser. So I think the future is about tokenization of pretty much all real world assets.
Hmm.
And at the same time, we've also entered the gold rush period where 99% of the all Bitcoin will be mined by 2034.
True. Now, recalling Islamic finance, at the Bitcoin MENA event, there was Harris Irfan, and he has shared some great content regarding Bitcoin and Islamic finance. Did you get a chance to speak to him about it, or do you know him personally as well?
Yes, and it was amazing speaking to him.
Yeah,
And I think we need more leaders. We need more people talking about it, especially in this world, in
yeah,
this part of the world, right, in this region. And I think this is going to be instrumental in helping people from the Muslim Ummah, from our brothers and sisters in Islam, to really embrace Bitcoin and embrace this new way of exchanging value.
and one question what I wanted to ask is, Khurram, and this is like you're the only person I can ask this from an investor point of view, and I'm sure you've interacted with quite a lot of investors and high net worthy individual. What are the changes you have seen going back to, let's say, 2011 to now? What are the changes they have seen pertaining to, let's say, Bitcoin or even cryptocurrencies for that matter, from being skeptical to now being advocates of them?
It's very interesting because I had arguments and heated arguments with people within the family, within my friend circle. Uh, I've lost friends, I've lost colleagues, I've lost bank accounts, I've lost crypto, I've lost Bitcoin, I've lost so much so much in order to support this community, in order to support Bitcoin. And I think it's a mindset, right? Because once when people don't understand it, they neglect it or they don't want to be part of it, and then when they don't understand it even more, then they get aggressive and then
Yeah,
they, get angry, get pissed off, right? Start lawsuits, start, like everything. They call it fake money, fake this, fake that, rat poison, etc. The people are still calling it calling it a Ponzi scheme, calling it, and they don't realize that they're not taking the time to understand that Bitcoin is backed by the largest computer infrastructure on this planet. So it has something backing it up. It has
yes.
hundreds and hundreds of millions of people, and it also has the largest digital infrastructure on this planet that exists today. So I think it has evolved, and more has evolved. But I think regulatory clarity and someone like Donald Trump embracing it with Elon and others is something that is a game changer. And I commend them and I respect them and I'm in awe and I really thank them for their inclusion and their advancement for the crypto regulation and their and their support for the Bitcoin community on a global level.
Absolutely, and I'm one of the biggest fans of President Donald Trump, and he was a massive skeptic of Bitcoin. He kind of dismissed it in the earlier stages, but later on he openly said that he truly understands what Bitcoin is. And going forward, things are definitely looking great. And from a political point of view, even the vice president, or soon to be vice president, that is JD Vance, he's a massive advocate of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, along with Vivek Ramaswamy as well. So things are definitely looking good, at least for the next 3 to 4 years. Now, regarding the MENA region, Karam, what are the unique opportunities and challenges for cryptocurrency adoption? And how do you see Bitcoin and decentralized finance transforming this region in the next coming decade?
So uh, this region, I was reading statistics in this region. You're talking about 25-35% of MENA region already being involved in crypto Bitcoin, right? And
Yeah,
of course, a lot of people have lost money. They've been involved in a lot of rug pulls and stuff like that. So I believe that, one of the ways to enter this community is through Bitcoin instead of, NFT assets and metaverse and other altcoins and all of that. I really believe that, in order for someone to enter the Bitcoin community is read the white paper. It's an 8-page white paper, right? People just
yeah,
don't read. If you read that white paper, you will realize that this community is ruled or governed by code and there's no government that can stop it. There's no country that can stop it. There's no people that can stop it. So it's a very inspirational way where where the world has taken the power away from centralized organization into decentralized. Even though now it is getting very centralized with centralized exchanges and ETFs and now government buying it, but that is, I think, ability for crypto to grow into a real asset class. And in the MENA region, we have a very big youth population, right? And that youth today is very disfranchised from the previous world of finance, right? Like
yeah,
I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were saying, the kids in the future are going to say, "Oh, what is a bank?" Right?
yeah,
Because what is a bank? Like people used to go to the bank and have paper money to deposit into the bank and then stand in line to take their money out. I mean, I don't remember when was the last time I went to a bank, right? It's just all digital, and it's a very interesting aspect that the future is changing very fast, and the old guards are sort of getting softer for this new digital economy. And again, it comes to regulation, and it comes from regulation from the top. The most powerful country or the biggest elephant in the room is the United States. When you have the
yes,
president of the United States and his son being so passionate about Bitcoin, I'm just transformed and and I was even talking to Paul Manafort, right?
yeah,
And he's considered a kingmaker. And he's the reason which Donald Trump sort of embraced Bitcoin. And, he was so kind and forthcoming by saying, Khurram, come to the United States. We were discussing that, I've stayed away from the US doing stuff in the US for so long because of regulatory unclarity. It wasn't
yeah,
clear, but now with the support of the U.S. administration, support of people like Paul Manafort, I think U.S. is going to be center stage of Bitcoin, and I look forward to accepting the invitation of people like Paul Manafort and Eric and Steve and entering the United States and doing stuff in the US. My whole family is American. My mom's American. My sister's American. My brother's American. I went to university in the US. I went to boarding school in Atlanta. My mother's brothers are in the US. My mother's sisters in the US. So I've had a very strong connection to the US in real world assets such as real estate development, gas station, Pizza Hut, KFC, Taco Bell, etc. But even within my family, we've been skeptics, right? My cousins have been skeptics, and my cousins are very successful businessmen, but they've been skeptics, and it's interesting. They still are skeptics, but slowly, as soon as they're seeing this, and as soon as U.S. government comes in, I think they will come around, and I think U.S. is going to lead the world in crypto, and with U.S. MENA is definitely there. The UAE, the US dollar is the petrodollar, and
Yeah.
this Middle East plays a big role in it. So I think the US and the MENA region are going to lead the world of finance in or capital moving forward.
Especially in the Bitcoin and the mining industry, I think that is definitely something which President Donald Trump wants to do. Now, you mentioned about youth, and I do want to share a real example because my niece, she's 16 years old. She knows everything about Bitcoin. She has got more than 10 Bitcoin. Now, regarding the white paper
Wow,
that you
look
talked
at
about, yeah,
that.
she knows everything
Amazing.
about Bitcoin, the private key, how it works.
Amazing. MashaAllah.
Yeah. Now, what's really interesting is Crumb, regarding the white paper that you mentioned, someone who does not know coding, they can't understand the white paper. So what I did is I asked my niece to use ChatGPT 4 to go ahead and make it easier for her to understand. So what she did is she understood the white paper using ChatGPT 4.0, and my dad, he's almost 82 years old. So all she did in ChatGPT 4, she put a prompt, can you explain it to someone who's 82 years old? And she literally printed that thing out, and she was trying to explain what Bitcoin white paper is to my dad. So, that's how the youth, at least for now, at least my niece is that way. And I thought
Wow,
I'll just go ahead and
wow.
share it.
I would love to commend your niece and even possibly have a chat with her whenever she is convenient because that's what we are doing everything for. I have 3 kids myself, and I was asking my 9, 10-year-old daughter that explain me Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and she remembers seeing one of those original Bitcoins with a private key on it
Uh-huh.
in long time ago with real coins with
Paper
which
wallet as
had
well.
so she still thinks it's a gold coin. What is Bitcoin? And it's going to be but even we say bache bache ko pata hai what is Bitcoin today, right? Everyone
True.
in the world at least has heard of Bitcoin, so it's not something that if you say something to somebody like Bitcoin and they're like, "Oh, what is Bitcoin?" Right? It's at least surpassed that level. I think the whole world knows about Bitcoin. In
Yeah.
terms of understanding Bitcoin, is a whole nother story. I think still 90% of the world has 95 or
Right.
99% of the world has no idea of what is Bitcoin. They just know there is Bitcoin. They don't know what it is. And I think this is again a call to action to people like yourself who have access to media and who can amplify this message. So you guys are the real leaders of Bitcoin and real ambassadors of Bitcoin moving forward, more than people like myself who just have some Bitcoin sitting with them.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see with the new generation, as long as they understand the basics and the economics of Bitcoin, that should actually solve most of the purpose. Now, you talked about President elect Trump, who I'm a massive fan of. Just roughly around 2 weeks ago, Khurram, he actually delivered a really strong message to the BRICS nations, and this was regarding the usage of another currency, which I kind of agree to. But right now, there's Saudi Arabia and UAE, they are part of BRICS nation as well. So, what are your thoughts regarding his message regarding tariffs? And what kind of an impact do you think it'll have, let's say, on Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, directly or indirectly?
I mean, I don't want to necessarily give opinion on geopolitical issues,
Hmm.
being residents of these countries. But, what I can say is that Donald Trump has very good relationships in the UAE, has
Yes.
very good relationships in the Saudi Arabia, has very good relationships in the Middle East, and I think he can. A lot of people might not like him. A lot of people may like him, but what he is trying to do is create a world where America first. It doesn't mean only America, but it means that America can lead the world into the future, right? And
Yeah.
I think money or currency is going to be a major aspect of it. And I'm very excited to see how it unfolds. I think we need to orange pill all the BRIC
Exactly.
nations, which is already happening. I mean, Russia did some announcements. I was sitting with my friends Nishit Desai and associates Suril Desai, who fought the case for Bitcoin in the Supreme Court in 2018 and
Mhm.
got won. And otherwise, Reserve Bank of India was going to ban it. And it was
Yes.
so interesting because when the lawyer from the Reserve Bank of India was discussing and explaining blockchain to the judge basically said, no, this is not what blockchain is. This is not what Bitcoin is. And the judge started explaining to the Reserve Bank of India what is blockchain. So, which is so inspiring. And this is back in 2018. So,
Yeah.
you're talking about India also playing a very big role. I mean, 14, 17% of Bitcoin is held by Indians. There's a huge population in India which has embraced this, and we truly need to get all the BRICS nation, all the leaders, orange pill, which I think Donald Trump will do in an amazing way as soon, and he's going to lead by action, right? And he's
Yes.
not going to talk. He's going to basically lead by action, and I'm really excited to see what he does. And my whole support is now with the new U.S. Administration, and I myself plan to, set up offices, do stuff in the U.S., work with different U.S. government agencies, work with Doge, work with Elon and Vivek, and work with all of them to assist in any way I can, and give them a unique perspective of mine, which includes this Islamic finance, which includes access and understanding of this region, being in India, being Middle East, being in Africa, and I'm so glad that people like the Eric Trump and Paul
Yeah.
and Donald Trump and Elon, all of them are willing to listen and embrace the thoughts and then action it.
That's absolutely great, and I'm pretty much sure you'll do an absolutely fascinating job with them. Now, regarding Bitcoin and going beyond Bitcoin, when you talk about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, then when you talk about it in purest sense, there is always challenges, with decentralization, Karam. And I personally like to use the word distributed and distributed form of governance. Now, one of the challenge, according to me, is slow decision making. And one classic example I can think of is, let's say, Bitcoin. One of the update that it had was, Taproot is now signature. And that upgrade literally took roughly around 18 months. But let's say if that particular change were to be done on a centralized system, let's say Facebook or Meta, that can be done in, let's say, a matter of 24 to 48 hours. So, what do you think are some of the challenges with decentralization?
The challenges with decentralization is I mean, it's so people do not want to touch the code of Bitcoin. There is
Yeah,
no real development on Bitcoin. Any development on Bitcoin is sort of frowned upon by Bitcoin miners, by Bitcoin OGs, by Bitcoin people like myself, because we don't want anything to change. Because if it changes, we're not sure what is going to basically happen, which sort of stifles any sort of development, any sort of changes that will happen, right? So even though it takes longer, but when it does happen, it's very transformational, and that's one of the reasons all these altcoins have shined, such as Ethereum and stuff, is because they're able to do stuff faster, quicker, easier, smart contracts, etc. So I think, and it's also with thanks to people like Jack Dorsey who have created this fund. to fight against bad actors in the industry. Because code developers are very scared of the legal system. You get a subpoena from a court,
Yep.
you get a you know someone who is wrongfully using the legal aspect and gets a court order and seizes or blacklists wallets, so these centralized exchanges have to block it. So I think it's the court system also needs to understand, on how there's going to be dispute resolution in this
Yep.
new digital age, right? So I think I concur with you that it's taken a long time for any sort of development or changes on the Bitcoin code, but that's I guess the the way it's been, because people don't want to fix or change what is right, what is basically happening, even
Yep.
though in many cases it's very inefficient. I mean, it takes a long time to transfer Bitcoin. Where Bitcoin miners are eating up a massive energy. Bitcoin is really a proxy to energy, right?
Yep.
So there are lots of issues or lots of situations that needs to be looked at, but in terms of technology, there exists technology today. So if there was a, agreement amongst everyone, then the type of transformation or the type of development that will happen on Bitcoin is going to be astronomical. You instead of seeing stuff that develops in 18 months, you're going to start seeing stuff develop in 18 minutes. And
Yep.
if you look at how I mean, already 50% of the code on GitHub is being written by AI. I mean, Google announced that, most of its code is being written by AI now. So I think AI is going to play a very big role in the future development of these blockchains.
Absolutely. And I was speaking to the team members from Uniswap, and they did actually do a survey last year. And they asked as to why people are not using decentralized exchange. And one of the top concern was user experience and lack of customer support. Now, with artificial intelligence, I was also speaking to the CEO of Agentic Labs. There is a possibility to use artificial intelligence to offer customer support. Let's say when someone is struggling with decentralized exchanges in terms, how what are the steps needed, and they can probably be in a position to offer customer support as well, isn't it?
100%, 100%. And the funny part is, I mean, decentralized exchanges have become smaller,
Yeah,
and big centralized exchanges have become like massive. I mean, Binance had more volume than all the stock exchanges in the world combined.
yeah.
Bitcoin today is bigger than the GDP of Canada. Bitcoin is bigger than all the top three banks in the world combined. So I think it's going to it is transforming, but decentralization unfortunately is becoming lesser and lesser because regulations are coming into place. Like we were discussing, like India is fully operating on decentralized exchanges. I mean, they don't want to operate, Indians don't want to operate necessarily on centralized exchanges because there's no regulatory clarity. There's no, there's taxes, there's 30% tax, and
Yeah.
there's 1%, and all of this stuff, which makes crypto holders wary to be dealing with centralized exchanges. Then they got to deal with taxation authorities. They got to deal with all of these authorities. So I think regulatory clarity basically helps centralized exchanges and does not help decentralized exchanges, right? And which is unfortunate because the whole essence of Bitcoin was decentralization and distributed ledger, which is sort of with regulation coming on board and crypto growing up, it is getting centralized.
And unfortunately, in India, there was a massive hack with Vazirex exchange. I think $300 million were wiped off from that exchange, and there is still no resolution for that. Now, regarding the Bitcoin Meta event, Khurram, you were the speaker as well, isn't it? Can you tell our audience what is it that you were talking about?
WazirX is interesting because I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I think they're doing strides, and Nischal is working hard, and he's an amazing person in terms of trying to make the community whole. After meeting him, I really felt that he has the best interest of his user base there, and this is a call to action to all the other exchanges in India. Instead of pushing him on the side and pushing WazirX on the side, the entire crypto community needs to come together in
Yeah,
India to support WazirX and support Mr. He is a good person and he has the best interest of this heart for the user base, right? Even Binance needs to stop doing dispute on them the Z-Rex. I mean, there recently Delhi police arrested some gentleman in Delhi called Masood Alam for related to this hack. I'm told that the North Koreans hacked it, but there is ways that we can help Z-Rex and Mr. Come out of this mess and
yeah,
problem in flying colors, and it's a matter of support that we need to give to him. So, in terms of my speech in Bitcoin Mina, we were the first panel, and we were talking about on day one. And please, I would request your users and your viewers to go check out the the conference and the speeches. Some are very very inspiring. And what I was speaking about is strategic leadership and strategic uh, uh, direction of Bitcoin in the Middle East, right?
yeah,
And what's happening in the Middle East and what's going to happen in the Middle East. And I'm very happy to say that after my speech, a lot of very high net worth individuals from Kuwait and Qatar and stuff were chatting. And I think they're all very ready and acceptable and willing to listen, um, and willing to put their money where on this. So I'm very excited that I can play a small role in changing or in helping people get educated about Bitcoin. And again, this is a call to action for people like yourself and other medias, is to cover conferences such as this, is to cover speakers, cover education. I mean, people like your niece is inspiring to me. I wanna hear her. I want my kids to hear her, and I want to support her. And she is the future, right? And how can we basically empower the youth to be financially inclusive, financially independent moving forward? I'm so proud of your niece.
yeah.
I mean, she's a millionaire at the age of 16, and all she did was buy Bitcoin, right? So I'm proud of her, and
Well,
that's
technically,
what
she
we
was
need to do.
gifted by me.
Yeah, but
So
the
she
whole
did.
thing is, you had the foresight. She had the ability to manage him. So
Yeah,
it's a even even I can gift it. I've gifted it to so many kids, but they've lost it. They've lost crypto. They've lost. I gifted it to my father. He's lost it. So it's just so unfortunate that crypto hygiene and crypto um, um, ability to understand it and operate it on a decentralized basis has been sort of hard, right? It's like people just don't read or people just don't follow direction. It's a matter of mindset, and it's a matter of changing. I mean, there should be Bitcoin curriculum in schools.
yeah,
Kids should be taught this. I mean, this is the future, right? And I was talking to one of our principals of the school, and I was explaining to him that we need to do that, but that comes again to the governing bodies, the schools, and the owners of these schools, or the governments where these schools are. So it's basically a global movement. And how many people can we go explain and talk and give hours and hours of discussion? I think it's really a role that the media has to play, and now you've got the biggest proponent, the most powerful man on this planet,
yeah.
Donald Trump, who's talking about it. So we all need to talk about it, and we need to orange pill the world.
And regarding my niece, Kuram, I do have one of the episodes where she has talked about hyper Bitcoinization. And it was a really, really technical topic as well. And her voices in that episode, I'll definitely go ahead and forward you that particular episode. Now, you talked about leadership, particularly about the government taking steps in the UAE. And I can say from firsthand, Khurram, that the UAE government is definitely receptive to, let's say, Bitcoin, NFTs, and even metaverse for that matter. Now, you are an international person, a crypto whale. What message would you like to give to other countries who are still skeptical about Bitcoin, such as, let's say, India, that you talked about?
So, I mean, first thing I would like Mr. Donald Trump, president-elect, to do is to orange bill Mr. Modi in India,
Yes,
right? And I think Modi is will understand it if it's coming from Donald Trump. And my thing to all country presidents around the world is, we are entering this gold rush. This gold rush is not based on geography, right? We all have equal footings in order to buy Bitcoin, right? Or in order to embrace Bitcoin today. This is not going to last for too long. You're talking about lasting for another 10 years, right? So
yeah,
we have a gold rush that has started. And I think every single country needs to look at putting part of, Bitcoin in their treasury. We need them to look at UAE. I mean, UAE's got two regulators now. Third one's coming up, VARA. On my panel, Dr. Aisha, who's the executive vice president of VARA, which is the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority,
yeah,
and it was so inspiring listening to her because you know I'm just so in awe with the type of leadership UAE has put into place, thanks to the leaders and the sheikhs of the country. And I thank them because we truly created a hub for crypto in the world, and it's secure. And then you have ADGM, which is regulator in this space. One of the reasons Bitcoin conference was in Abu Dhabi is because Abu Dhabi is the capital city, and the whole concept is we need to speak to decision makers, and we need to be in capital cities around the world so that we can impart the knowledge, we can impart bringing in global speakers, and so that they can get exposure to what this new gold rush has started.
yeah. And while the Abu Dhabi Bitcoin Meta event was taking place, Khurram, there was a financial event taking place there as well. And BlackRock CEO, that is Larry Fink, was at the event. And he put out a really bold statement stating that Abu Dhabi will be the leader in cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence. And regarding AI, there is a company called as G42, which is definitely leading the packs of as artificial intelligence is concerned. And you talked about, regulatory authority in United Arab Emirates. We have Abu Dhabi Global Market. You have Russell Kema DAO, which is Digital Asset Oasis. And you also have Dubai's VARA, that is Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, and they're definitely taking steps and leaps and bounds ahead, particularly so far as regulation is concerned. And what I'm noticing since the last 6 months in particular, Karam, is that even banks, let's say like Rock Bank, Fab Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, they are having partnership with cryptocurrency exchanges. Now, I don't see any other region where banks are kind of, having partnership with cryptocurrency exchanges. Do you know of any other region in the world where the banks are proactively coming up to exchanges and having partnership left and right?
I think Switzerland
Yeah,
is another region which is very embracing of this aspect. Another one is I would say Alberta, not Canada overall, because Canadian banks are closing bank accounts for people in the crypto world, but
yeah,
Alberta health credit unions, or is sort of more forthcoming. And I think with this is a matter of function of regulators giving a sort of a green light to the banks to that it's okay. And I think that has not happened yet, and I think that will happen in the next year or so. And then you will see banks, coming into this space because, I mean, let's call spade a spade. I mean, bank systems, we have access to bank systems and we understand how banks operate. It's really, really old technology. It's really, really old way on you going 9 to 5.
Yeah,
Banks with banking hours, 5 days a week, 9 to 5, weekends off. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, we're living in a 24/7 digital world, and you've got this whole equated money system of banking in the world, which is so overregulated and so massive. And there we have an opportunity to make it future ready. And the
yeah,
banks will embrace it in due course, I think. And once the bank embrace it, I think these centralized exchanges will not be needed, right? Because the banks in each country will be able to buy Bitcoin for people, custody Bitcoin for people, etc. moving forward. So I think advantages of these centralized exchanges will deplete if banks come into play. And because banks are not supporting this, that's why bad actors like FTX and stuff have
yeah.
become so big, right? So once banks start embracing it, I think the centralized exchanges will be a thing of the past.
Yeah, I think what banking industries they can do is, with the app, they can directly offer the service to go ahead and buy cryptocurrencies, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, how hard should it be? I mean, it shouldn't be that hard at all, right?
True.
And I really believe that even though I love CZ, I love Bybit, OKX, all these central, and they were the sponsors for Bitcoin Mina too. But we, it's not about one company being successful or the other company being successful. We're really trying to figure out how we can impact a better world for our kids, right?
Yeah,
A better world for the future. And what should the future look like, right? And the future is there, and the banks are there in the future too. But the banks need to transform into being a future ready bank with the new technologies out there, right?
yeah.
So I'm really excited about the crossroads of AI, finance, crypto, real estate, tokenizing of real world assets moving forward.
And Kuram, I do have a very specific question, and this is to do with 3IQ, because you have been an advisor to 3IQ, which is pioneered groundbreaking initiatives with the world's first Bitcoin ETF. I wanted to ask you, what were the biggest challenges that you faced when they were launching this particular project?
Oh, I am so honored to be an advisor to them. These guys really are trailblazers, and they basically were able to talk with the regulators and implement the first Bitcoin ETF, right? And I
Mhm.
think because they opened the door and opened the highway for these ETFs, I think that sort of gave BlackRock and others who wanted to come up with Bitcoin ETFs. And it's been a very, I think it's been a very tough last decade for people in the crypto industry. And I would like to tell all my friends that it's going to get easier moving forward, right? You've got big boys in the game now, such as BlackRock. I mean, their ETFs have crossed hundreds of billions of dollars very quickly within months, and in that way you see how much institutions want access to Bitcoin, but they just don't want to hold Bitcoin directly. They'd rather have ETF that they hold, which has exposure to Bitcoin. So I think the journey has been, good, bad, and very ugly in some cases. And it's really been an education aspect for the regulator. There's been an education aspect for the for the organizations. And I'm seeing the future, which is going to be much easier thanks to people like 3IQ and BlackRock to put in stuff.
And if I'm not mistaken, they have a fund which replicates the price of Bitcoin in Dubai as well.
Yeah, it's a fun structure, but I think a lot more work needs to be done in terms of the regulation and the ETFs. So funds are in a way differently structured than ETFs. And I think with regulation coming in, there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes for launching Bitcoin ETF, which is Sharia compliant in the Middle East as we speak in many different countries. So I think it's going to be um, uh, uh, a gold rush, like again what Michael Saylor was saying that it's day zero.
Yeah.
So we as an industry need to come together. We need to experiment. We need to come out with products, and of course there's going to be some wrong moves and some mistakes that we make. But we shouldn't be scared of these mistakes in order to push, a global uh, financial future for our kids.
Very true. And lately, Kuram, you've been talking a lot about Bitcoin finance and its DeFi integration. So my question is, how do you see Bitcoin's role evolving in the DeFi space, and what advantages do you think it gives, let's say, in comparison to Ethereum, Solana, or other blockchain ecosystems?
So again, so like I was saying earlier, Bitcoin is going to be an economic security layer, right? So
Yeah.
projects such as Omnibit
Okay.
and Omnibit Labs and projects such as Babylon. These guys are trying to figure out how Wrap BTC. These guys are trying to figure out how they can sort of create a Bitcoin sort of ready for the DeFi world, right? Decentralized world. But if the banks come into play and put regulation into play, this whole industry won't need to exist. But it is purely a play because these regulators and countries are going to take so long to embrace crypto. So during that period of time, DeFi is going to shine and play a big role, right? So you're talking about now, let's say you hold Bitcoin, your niece holds 10 Bitcoin. What is she doing with it? She's just holding it, right? I mean, there's nothing you can do with it. There's the future, I think, is more in terms of staking it, sprinkling it with real estate. I was reading an article in the US where someone has given a mortgage for a property which has Bitcoin with it, right? And so the mortgage, now imagine every single house in the United States has a little bit of Bitcoin attached to it to add a security or a future ready security to it. So you're talking about, clubbing assets together moving forward. So I think a lot of use cases are going to come out of what Bitcoin Finance or BTC Fi on what you can start doing with Bitcoin in the digital and the decentralized world.
That's absolutely great. And it's going to be really interesting to see, as you mentioned, we are still in the early stages of ground zero. Now, artificial intelligence is picking up quite a lot of pace. And Kuram, you are a champion of emerging tech, and right now AI is dominating. So, what I did, I used ChatGPT 4.0, and I did not put absolutely anything into that. And I asked, can you write a sentence about Khurram Shroff? So, what I want to do is, I want to read out the statement, and I want you to tell me what you think of this particular statement, right?
Yes, please.
So the statement what ChatGPT 4 says is that Khurram Shroff is a visionary driven by purpose and compassion. He blends blockchain innovation with heartfelt generosity to uplift communities, and his focus is on shaping a better future for humanity. So what is your thoughts regarding AI talking about you this way?
Wow. Wow. I'm so humbled and I'm so thankful for this statement. This is absolutely, it's just very heartwarming to me. And I'm so blessed that AI is talking about me like this because I don't have the words to comment on this. It's just, I'm blushing and I feel that it's so humbling that AI is talking about me like this. And, it's not me alone. It's the team members, it's the supporters, it's my friends, it's my family who have, given me the ability to be like this and talk like this. I'm very thankful to my mom, my dad, my wife, my kids, my brothers and sisters, and my cousins, and my entire family around the world. It's so heartwarming to see so much support on a global level from them. It's even so nice to see people who have not liked me at all because of crypto or because of you know uh, talking about crypto so much, we're talking about these emerging technologies, and them also coming around and patching things with me and trying to see how we can work together and collaborate. And I would like to ask forgiveness from anyone who has been hurt with crypto. And I think it was something that is in the past, and moving forward, how can we collaborate together for a future world, right? And
Yeah,
life is really short, and I would like for us to all come together and move forward in a collective way.
that is definitely beautifully said. And Khurram, you've worked at the intersection of blockchain and AI. So my question is, what industries do you think would be likely be impacted by the intersection of blockchain and AI? Are there specific industries that pop up into your mind immediately?
I mean, you're talking about autonomous delivery, you're talking about real estate, you're talking about finance, you're talking about supply chain, you're talking about healthcare. I mean, every single industry you can think about, there is a use case for AI, there's a use case for how payments will happen, there's a use case for how the blockchain can be utilized. So I think it's an aspect of where industry veterans or industry leaders with future with developers and thinkers and can come together and look at different use cases, right? And they have all my support, and I'm willing to invest my time, my resources to push this forward. And I truly, again, want to echo Paul Manafort's word and Eric Trump's word that you and President-elect Donald Trump's word that US is going to be center stage, and it's going to empower a whole new world of future ready technologies such as AI, blockchain, Bitcoin, and I'm so excited moving forward.
And regarding the convergence of blockchain and AI, what I tend to do is every Thursday I go live via LinkedIn, and one of the topic of discussion that we tend to have is, does blockchain need artificial intelligence, or does artificial intelligence needs blockchain? What is your thought regarding that, Khurram?
I think it's both ways.
Mhm.
The what do you call the when you clap it, you got to clap with both hands. I think there's use cases where AI needs blockchain for a place of truth, and also needs possibly Bitcoin for payments, or and on the blockchain side, it needs AI. Like one of the good examples which you gave earlier was, DeFi, when you were talking to Uniswap and the other guys about, AI agents being customer service for these decentralized exchanges. I mean, that is amazing
Game changer,
how
isn't it?
DeFi can sort of mimic CeFi and provide all the resources that a centralized exchanges would provide on a decentralized basis powered by AI. So I think there's huge advantages of blockchain and Bitcoin to use AI, and I think there's huge advantages of AI using blockchain and Bitcoin.
Definitely. And one of the things which I think about, and I'm really curious to check your response, Bitcoin's the source code is completely open source. What if the artificial intelligence source code is completely open source? Something similar to what Elon Musk has done with Twitter. I think that does solve quite a lot of problems. Now, I do want to share a really dark information, and this just happened yesterday, Karam. Because I tend to use something called as Notebook LM by Google. I'm not sure if you've tried that. So essentially, what it is, you just copy paste the link and it creates a podcast episode. It does that in just a matter of 2 minutes. But I wrote an entire page where I was praising President Donald Trump, and I was saying that something similar to what you're saying, that things are looking really great so far as Bitcoin cryptocurrency is concerned. But they just don't say anything regarding President Trump. What I did, I just replaced the name President Trump to Joe Biden and immediately started saying positive things. So I hate saying this, but looks like Notebook Element is definitely leaning to one side of politics, which I think is completely wrong. So I do feel that the source code is completely open source. Everyone can go and check. Is it leaning towards one side of the politics? What is your thoughts regarding that?
That's so interesting. You saying this with me. I mean, I have really no comment on that because, I'm coming from a place where, I have access to people like George Hinton and stuff who are raising alarm bells
Yeah.
on the future of AI, right? And of course, these guys are godfathers of AI. So we should listen. There's definitely guardrails and definitely stuff that we need to put into place. We just don't know what we need to put into place, right? And I think over the next year, and I have faith in Elon Musk. I have faith in Donald Trump, and I have faith in George Hinton and others who will who will say what they feel like, and hopefully we can have a world which is which is which doesn't create biases, right?
Yeah.
Because biases are something that will jeopardize people from color or people from other aspects to be at equal playing field, right? So this is really amazing and exciting, and also very dangerous time to be alive. And I'm so excited to the future, and I have faith in humanity, and I have faith in the goodness of people that we will make it right.
And what I'm going to do, after this episode is released, Karam, I'm going to take the audio of it and I'm going to put it into Notebook by Google, and that will create an AI version of our conversation. So I'll definitely go and post that, and it's going to be really interesting to see, what artificial intelligence thinks of our conversation. And I'm not sure if you've tried that. The entire episode gets done in just a matter of 2 minutes. It is absolutely mind blowing. Now
Wow.
let's look.
Please share
Yeah,
that with me. I just would
definitely,
like to
definitely we'll do
plug
that.
in. I would just like to plug in a friend of ours, Avi, who is the chairman of the India's first publicly traded company called Jet King Infotrain
Oh,
Limited, which is the first Indian company in the world which holds Bitcoin as treasury. They only hold
nice.
about 12 Bitcoins right now, but I met them. They're three brothers, Avi Barwani as the chairman, and I was completely in awe and really appreciate and really like what they're doing in terms of education. And then they're holding Bitcoin in treasury. Since the last 2 days that it's been announced that they hold Bitcoin as treasury, their stock price has gone up by 60% by holding Bitcoin as treasury. So I would
Yeah.
love to. I would thank them for becoming orange pilled, and I think they are going to be leading Bitcoin adoption in India, and I commend them. And I think the entire Bitcoin community is thankful that they have taken the leadership role. And what an amazing bunch of guys! What an amazing vision that they have. And he truly can be even bigger than Michael Saylor because he's got the support of the Indian population, which is in the billions of people. So I
Yeah.
commend them and I thank them, and I would really appreciate you explaining and showing Jet King to people and being part of this ability to help them become a leader in this space in this region or this country, India.
Yeah, what I'll do is, I'll definitely go ahead and put all the details in the show notes. So I'm hoping that, our listeners will definitely go ahead and look at more information regarding them. So thank you so very much for sharing that information. Now let's talk about your company, that is iMining Technologies, and you're the CEO. Can you tell our listeners more about iMining Technologies, Karam?
Yes, so iMining, we've gone through a very interesting ride over the last few years. I became the CEO of this company. It used to be a gold company, gold
Mm-hmm.
mining company. Then it became a Bitcoin mining company. Then I became the CEO, and we became a Ethereum staking company. All our Ethereum was locked up on the Beacon chain, so we literally got destroyed because we were making money on Ethereum staking, but we couldn't access any of the money because it was locked up. And then at the same time, what happened was cryptocurrency industry had dropped. All our shareholders, board directors, investors were pushing in terms of transform into other businesses. So, but we thanks to our ability of having relationship with Nvidia and we having a bunch of a lot of GPU cards, we took that and created an infrastructure to train AI models. We're working on an amazing AI tool in partnership and support with AWS, and we've created an AI avatar for sign language translation. And we're working to get it commercial ready, I think, which is going to be transforming like an AI agent which can create accessibility. At the same time, we are currently still going through our audit. Again, it comes from regulation. We've helped create revenue recognition policies in metaverse, etc. But metaverse and NFTs has dropped considerably. Even Mark Zuckerberg was apologizing on his strategy, and I would also like to apologize to the investors on of iMining because the vision of metaverse and NFTs was maybe too early. It wasn't correct, but now our vision moving forward of blockchain and Bitcoin and AI crossroads with other real world assets is going to be the new vision of iMining. We're currently going through our audit. We're in CTO. No auditor wants to touch us because once it's been told that if no publicly traded companies are are planning to get audited because it puts them at huge liability and risk, these accounting audit firms. So I would really appreciate your voice to regulators and stuff to help, it's to empower these auditors to audit us. I mean, you're talking about us spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars for an audit, and we are a small cap company, right? And it is such a big barrier for us to be able to get audited by these public accounting firms. So this is a call to action for public accounting firms to help as crypto companies get audited, understand how crypto is being used, and also help create new recognition policies so that it can become more seamless. I mean, it should be much more easier to audit us than any
Exactly.
other company because everything's on the blockchain, right? So it's just unfortunate that we find ourselves in this situation where we are in CTO, but we have a great game plan now moving forward. And 2025, you will see iMining shine and come out of, inshallah, out of the CTO and get back to trading and get our audits passed. And later on today, I have discussion with some of our shareholders to explain them and explain the new vision of iMining moving forward.
I definitely wish you the best. And regarding,
Thank you.
the audit regarding blockchain technology, the only thing I can say is that, roughly around 6 months ago, Khurram, there was a DeFi hearing with the Senate members, and a Democratic Senate member actually said that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are used by billionaires and they want to evade tax. But a Republican Senate member had to correct him, stating that all of the transactions are completely open source. Anyone can go ahead and verify these transactions. So if there are transactions in the cryptocurrency, it is available on blockchain, it would become much more easier to go ahead and audit these transactions. And that is exactly what you're saying as well, isn't it?
Exactly, and it's sort of like you know again, it's a more of an educational aspect,
Yeah,
and people like yourself uh, n- uh, need to please help people like myself amplify this message, amplify this on a global level, because if our messages or our voice is not amplified, we are being drowned, right? and that is not helping us empower a better future world. I mean, imagine we spending our entire time, resources, money, extensive to do an audit, which is should be very simple. I mean, you just put
Exactly.
an
Yeah.
AI on it and it'll be done in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just in awe in what we find ourselves in. But I think I took on a challenge of iMining. Now we are going to move forward in a new vision, in a new way that we feel is the way to go. And thanks to at least, thanks to President elect Donald Trump, this is going to be a fight that we feel Donald Trump is with us, right? So we feel that moving forward, I think regulatory framework is going to come into place, audits framework is going to come into place, exchanges framework is going to come into place, right? Because even exchanges are realizing, I mean, look at Binance. Binance did more volume than all the stock exchanges in the world combined.
Yep.
So you're talking about, cryptocurrency exchanges started a few years ago are doing more volume than all the public companies on this world combined, right? So eyes are opening up, and thanks to Donald Trump and Steve and Paul and all the Bitcoin and of course BTC Inc., Bitcoin Magazine, these Bitcoin conferences. We are very thankful and happy to have these leaders take a leadership role in the Bitcoin community.
And I'm also launching a new project called as Bitcoin DXB, which will be focusing purely on education. So I want to focus on a couple of areas. One is, let's say, politicians. And the second one would be high net worthy individuals. One area which I definitely do think a lot of education is required for lawyers, as long as they understand what Bitcoin is from a legal point of view. So, there are a couple of niche industries I want to focus on. So, if you do have any points and if you do want to collaborate, that'll be absolutely excellent. So, that will be called as Bitcoin DXP. It's going to be focusing mostly on education and educating people on what the key things are required so far as Bitcoin is concerned. Because I very strongly feel, Karam, once people truly understand what Bitcoin is, they would know what Bitcoin is not. Because the
Yeah.
narrative has changed drastically since the last 13 to 14 years. From people being skeptics of Bitcoin, now they're advocating Bitcoin left and right. And so far as regulations is concerned, I did actually speak to the policy director of Ripple, and he was also saying that regulations are needed as long as they don't stifle innovation, and their job role is to protect investors, ensure that the market is an equal playing field, and protect average daily users, isn't it? That is the key role of regulations. And I do think that the United Arab Emirates is definitely doing a brilliant job. Now, the final question I wanted to ask is, Kuram, based on your experience in the mining space, in the Bitcoin, Ethereum staking space, Bitcoin finance space, and artificial intelligence space, what, according to you, is the next big thing? And if you had to bet on one emerging tech besides Bitcoin that could probably disrupt industries, what do you think it could be and why?
I think the future on the Bitcoin space is BTC Fi and real world asset tokenization, and which is going to be powered by AI, right? The future technology we all understand. I mean, it's going to be AI. I mean, look at what ChatGPT has done for all of us. Look, I was in a confidential meeting with NVIDIA's entire leadership team in the Middle East, and the stuff that I was privy to, I'm just in awe with the power of AI, right? And the power of computing that is going to be coming forward. I mean, you talking about in days being able to disrupt industries, in days being able to disrupt companies, in days being able to find stuff. So, I mean, and we got the most amount of data in the world today. I mean, the three pillars of AI in terms of computing power, in terms of data, and in terms of algorithms. Algorithms have existed for a long time, right? The amount of digital data today that we have, we've never had this much digital data in the world. And
Yeah,
also having ability of computing at a whole nother level, especially with NVIDIA's Blackwell coming out. You're talking about the perfect storm is evolving in terms of what AI will do. So I'm really excited to see how AI sort of does it. And also from a human type of aspect, I really want to empower a future because we got to live somewhere, right? And so I really believe that real estate, which is considered one of the largest asset classes in the world, is something that definitely needs to get tokenized, fractionalized. There's some people doing some amazing work in this space, and I look forward to supporting real world take tokenization, AI, and also BTC5 moving forward.
And you've been talking about tokenization for more than 5 years, because while LinkedIn, a lot of them are talking about tokenization now. But as I mentioned earlier as well, at the AIBC Summit, you were talking about tokenization back then as well, isn't it? So definitely an OG and crypto whale in the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blockchain space.
You're too kind. And please do send me what the AI said about me. I'm just so inspired. I'm going to share it with my wife. I'm going to see.
Definitely.
I'm going to see,
And
hey, at least the AI thinks amazing of me.
now I do have one question, Khurram, which is not connected to Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain, or technology. And I'm really curious to check your answer to this. What is your favorite genre of music and why?
I'm so inspired by Diljit Dosanjh and Punjabi music, and I'm just so he he has been able to bring Punjabi music to the mainstream, and I mean some of his concerts were just like in it just empowered and put tears in my eyes that look, as Indians we have arrived on a global stage. You've got tech company CEOs being Indians, you've got top musicians being Indian, you've got Vivek in the White
Yeah,
House trying to create efficiencies of the government, you've got JD Vance's wife being Indian. So I think there's this new decade coming forward is an Indian decade, and
yeah,
be it an Indian American decade or an Indian Canadian decade or be it an Indian in the UAE, in Bahrain, like for example, uh, 25-30% of the country population is Indian. So I think the my genre of music, I love Indian music, I love Sufi music, I love Pakistani music. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is someone I love listening to. I love listening to Sufi music, uh, Turkish music. So, and of course, because of my daughter, she loves Taylor Swift, and so I I have I tend to listen to them more because my daughter wants to listen to it, right? And my youngest son, who's 6 years old, he loves Mbappe, and he loves like
oh, yeah,
listening to like Mbappe songs in French, and it's hilarious because this whole French music, and he's like saying the 6 year old boy is talking. He doesn't know how to speak French, but he's singing along on a French song on Mbappe. So it's a matter of who I'm sitting with. But if I'm sitting alone, I like to listen to Sufi music and music which has old, um, basically praising of God.
that is really, really beautiful. And Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is definitely a legend, or rather, still a legend, one of the best of all times.
And also, I love Bob Marley. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
love his music. So I would say the two genres that I really listen to when I'm alone is Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan or Bob Marley.
That's absolutely great. And finally, Khurram, as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to tell our listeners about your journey in the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain, or AI space? Because look, you're an Arab crypto whale, and I'm sure our listeners would love what you have to say. And more importantly, I'm pretty much sure they're going to learn from what you're saying as well.
Like I was telling my friend, is just get involved, right? I mean, I can explain to you as much as I can. Like it's like riding a bicycle, right? I can explain to you how good the bicycle is and how important the air pressure in the tires is and how the chains work and how the brakes work and how the aerodynamics works and everything. But unless you get on that bike, you're not going to learn it, right?
Yeah.
And so I would empower, and then of course this is not financial advice. They should talk to the financial advisor, who I don't know how much knowledge they have, anyways.
Yeah.
But so so what is get involved? You can get involved in the Bitcoin community with less than a penny. And all I'm asking is just get involved. You get involved, you understand it, read the white paper of Bitcoin blockchain, and then you make a decision for yourself on how you think you want to get involved. Do not get involved in rug pulls and MLM schemes and stuff like that, because that's
Exactly.
not a good entryway for people to understand it, right? I mean, there is no quick rich scheme in the world. You have to understand it. You have to, I mean, of course there could be some lucky moves that people do, but but I would suggest that people get involved in Bitcoin initially, read the white paper, invest a few dollars in it, and be part of this exciting, lovely community being led by, globally being led by people such as President like Donald Trump.
That is beautifully said. And Khurram, I've spoken to so many whales. Immediately, whales talk about, how much money they have made, but you have not at all mentioned anything regarding that. Rather, you're focusing on educating people. And that, to be honest, is such a powerful and beautiful message. So, thank you so very much, Khurram, for doing this. Really, really appreciate it. It's an absolute honor to have you on the Blockchain DXP podcast.
Brother, it's been an honor to be with you, and I'm so inspired from you. And I look forward to next time I'm in the Middle East to meet you, break bread with you. And
Definitely.
it's truly, you are the leader, right? And we are here to support you because you are the voice of us. You are the voice amplifying the message of Bitcoin and crypto on a global level. So I really thank you, my friend, and I really, really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so very much, Khurram. It was definitely an honor. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great
Perfect.
evening.
You do. Well, what I'll do is, Khurram, after I'll go ahead and edit this, I'll go ahead and post it probably tonight itself. And what I'll do is our conversation, I'll put it onto AI and let's see what AI comes up with. And you can make a decision if I should publish it or not. I think the content should be fine. But what I'll do is I'll send it to Neha first and then you can listen to it because some of the content that they put out is really, really good. They take
Mm.
things into context that we have not talked about. They take things from LinkedIn posts, YouTube posts, and it is a bit scary. So what I'll do is I'll send it to Neha, the AI version, and let's see what the outcome to our conversation. What do they think of our conversation? More importantly,
That would be really cool.
yeah,
You
yeah,
put out a podcast with just us talking, and then you
yeah.
put out a podcast. You put out a
With the,
podcast with the AI version,
yeah,
and it would be very interesting, even for myself and my followers, to see how
and
they're writing.
to be honest, that gets ready in less than 3 minutes. So for me to edit this, it might take 4 to 5 hours. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if I'm able to send you that, let's say before 1 o'clock. It's 12:36 right now. Maybe even before twelve
Wow.
forty-five, I'll be able to send it across to you.
Now look at the power of AI, brother. Like which could take you like hours and hours. You can
Exactly.
literally
Yeah,
do it
yeah,
in
yeah,
minutes, right? And it's
yeah,
completely for free. So
yeah.
it's like what a world we're living in.
And we are still in the early stages of that thing, but yeah,
We're on ground zero.
yeah. Anyways, thank you so very much, Kuram. Thank you so very much for doing this.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank you
great
very
day.
much. You too have a
Bye
nice
bye.
one.